Hello, hello everyone. Whew, didn't know this one was going to be as hard. Okay, there's going to be some follow-ups from the last video. I wanted to make a couple of comments that I didn't get to on that video due to the amount of information and trying to remember it all. That, and it was heavy on its own self. And I understand it's hard to hear some of this. It took me almost a year to accept what I was learning. Now, where do I start? Let's first start with Nibiru. If you go do your research, Nibiru Planet X first name was Wormwood. Why they changed it? My best assumption is because it was waking too many people up. Flat out waking way too many people up. So they had to change it. And with enough years going by, people forget. And this is not just on our own stupidity. It has to do with the water we drink, the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the stuff that they're putting in our bodies. It helps us forget. So it's not you being stupid or anything. They're making us stupid. They're making us trying to forget this stuff. Now, moving on. Ray of Light 888 has a video about a year, maybe two now, where he discusses the different alien races and the star constellations they come from. However, if you do your research, you know these alien races are actually the fallen angel. And there's also another video, Most Scary Things watch before it's deleted. It was from Anonymous Official. It's on one of my playlists, so please go watch it, find it. It's a video that actually describes whistleblowers. However, I use that term lately because anymore it's like, are they truly whistleblowing, or are they, do the higher ups know that they're saying this stuff and it's part of the desensitization? Okay, this is where my thinking is coming from at this point. And in that, it describes these ET alien races and what they look like. Now, there was a YouTube channel called Eddie Page. When you looked at him, he looked very much like a human. But when you watched his videos, he would state that he was otherwise. He mentioned that he was from a different star galaxy. However, red flags went up right away for me when he talked about working in communication with the Catholic Vatican Church and that he worked with CIA. I had asked him a question about how he should talk to somebody, a certain YouTuber, and he was more worried about his pension fund. Now, if you're a godly person who you say you're going to be talking to the Father at the last hour, money should not be your last worry. There was another red flag that went against God's word, and I probably hadn't mentioned him in any of my videos because of this reason. However, certain things have been brought to my attention recently that had made more connections that is bringing this man up. And that would be Yellowstone. If you're paying attention, Yellowstone is wakening up. You got deformation, you got more hydrothermals coming awake, some going away. You definitely got magma on the move. Now, is this something we should be worried about right now? No, not right now. However, in one of Eddie Page's videos, he had mentioned how Yellowstone was going to be one of the last seals. I agree. However, this is where the truth ends in this. He had mentioned about the spaceships coming to Earth and beaming up some people. Rapture type situation. However, this is a false rapture in my opinion. If you go do your research, I hope you'd see that this is where things are going. Another thing, Putin had mentioned about a nuclear bomb going into Yellowstone. Now this would most likely panic people, and what was interesting is panic did not come to me. And actually the vision that I was given was kind of funny. However, let's do the worst case scenario here first, okay? Worst case scenario is if Russia or somebody tried to throw a nuclear bomb into Yellowstone to get it to erupt sooner, you have two scenarios. The first ugly scenario would be, yes, that huge explosion where Yellowstone would go off with on top of the explosion of the nuclear blast. However, then you got radiation in the ash clouds, and if you think ash clouds are going to stop in America, you are seriously mistaken. That volcano is too huge. It is part of the seventh seal for a reason. It is part of the destruction and the new world that God will create once he actually takes everybody who is righteous up. So the vision I got right away and this is how Eddie Page became into this scenario when I heard Putin mentioning about nuclear bomb going into Yellowstone. I actually got a visual of them trying to set Yellowstone off, but due to the massive explosion and heat just from the nuclear weapon, it would cancel the explosion of the eruption, if you get what I mean, because of the heat of the magma and the heat of the... Whether that actually would happen, I don't know, but I kind of laughed. I'm sorry. But the idea of everybody expecting something serious to go off and all of a sudden you just get this little poof. But then again, you have that whole target site opened up, and it's nothing but a radiated magma mess, so to speak, that could slowly ooze out and spread out. Let's put it that way. Now, the other stuff. 11/11. This might not be when the economy actually self-destructs. It might be 11/21. I've heard that new one, or 11/22. And this is all doing with numerology, and I really don't want to get into it, but there's a lot to go into it. We know very well, if you believe in the Lord, if you believe in Jesus, that this could very well change and the enemy may not have their way. However, they could very much get their way, and God just telling us that, hey, this is what they're planning on doing. Now, how do I know that this is still of the days of sorrows rather than actually being in the tribulations yet. This will go back to the FEMA thing, when FEMA was talking about how Christmas time that they want to have different FEMA people stop at different states and different cities and towns to see how people are doing, and to get these booklets out that supposedly gets the kid to rat on the parents or the guardians, whoever is in charge, so to speak. Now, if you think about it, in Matthew, Luke, John, Mark, it talks about how brother goes against brother, siblings against siblings, mother against daughters, and then you got the in-laws going against the other in-laws, and a real big mess. This is all in the days of sorrows, in the beginning. The enemy is going to try to do a false sudden event with a false rapture, with a false fight with the enemy alien, and having the good ETs come in, and this is where the Christians will get deceived yet again. And this is why I'm saying something now. If you watch Independence Resurgence, the second independent movie, you will see a lot of symbology in this and what I'm talking about when it comes to false raptures and deceiving and the AI network. I mean, it's sorry. I mean, it's kind of crazy right now. And I know the information I'm getting is so right on, and no one's gonna believe. No one's gonna believe it. Sorry. There's going to be a false one. Please do not be deceived. Stand in His Word. Know the signs. There's a reason why He gave us a lot of different things to look at before, in the days of sorrow, as well as the tribulation, so we know when exactly it's coming, when exactly we need to run. If you need to look that up, please look it up. Please look it up. But it wouldn't surprise me that the time we need to run is the time we got people just shooting up out of nowhere. And these people that are going to be taken up are godly people. Why? And that's going to be another big deception in all of this, because it's going to be good godly people going up. Well, of course the enemy is going to take the good godly people up. Now exactly what happens to them, I don't know. I don't know. All we can do is put our faith in God. And and some people are talking about false alien invasions, and it's like, no, this is not going to be false. This is going to be a real deal. And if people don't know it's a real deal and how it's going to work, I mean, they're all in Antarctica. I mean, if you haven't looked up Antarctica, please look up Antarctica and what's going on in Antarctica. I mean, keep eyes on Trump, on Jared Kushner, but especially keep eyes on Emmanuel Macron. I wish I had better evidence of saying why Emmanuel Macron. The only thing I've got is, besides the Bible of Gabriel coming down and saying Emmanuel, is the fact that Emmanuel Macron said to Trump, if you don't get this peace treaty with Middle East, I will. Excuse me. One last thing. At the end of my last video, I had mentioned about my channel and how small it is, obviously. And there's only been 14 views on my video when I posted it on Facebook. So I know I don't get a huge viewing. I know my voice is small. That's why I know it sounds very silly to think that they could even be watching me. And I was hoping that I was flying under the radar. I really was. However, you saw the amount of emails that was sent to me. And I was sent Tuesday, the day of elections, and them telling me both Donald Trump, Eric Trump, Melania Trump, and the daughter-in-law, I can't pronounce her name because I get it mixed up with Melania's, but all of them saying, hey, we've noticed that you haven't voted. Pretty freaky if you ask me. And then, just recently, I got this. I'm curious if anybody else got this. It's from the Center of Voter Information. Curious. You read that? It's my voting report card. And if you go down, my name's on the top, of course, and I've only voted a whole 2 times. No. Yeah, I've only voted once. Once! I voted once in my whole entire life. That's how much I knew this thing was rigged. And I'll admit it. The one time I voted in here was 2012. And yes, I did vote for Obama. But my whole reason for voting for Obama was I was hoping that once he was still back in office, I wanted his ass to be on the so-called podium on his so-called throne and getting thrown down due to the horrible medical care of the so-called, if you want to keep your provider, you can, which was, we now know, is total BS. And I was hoping that by him getting caught in his lie on his throne, that he'd get impeached just like Bill Clinton. Of course, it did not happen. Go figure. And that's when I knew right away that something wasn't right. I did vote it, and it doesn't have it on here, which is funny, because I did vote it in 16. Yeah, I voted in 16. But I didn't vote for Clinton or Trump. I voted for one of the other two. So, and it wouldn't surprise me, my faith and how strong I am with Christ, it's going to be my target. It's going to what makes me the target. It just is. I'm willing to live for him until the end and go through whatever hell that goes through on this earth until he gets back. And I'm willing to die for him. And I know, just being blunt and honest, that with my death, with the people around me personally, they would wake up. Sucks. But I don't know if they're going to wake up without me being gone, or me taken away for something as simple as my religion. I don't know. We will see. God knows my life is in His hands. It belongs to Him. Whatever He wishes for me to do, I will do it. So, with that being said, I don't know if I'll make another video or not. We'll see. But if I don't, God bless you all. Be prepared. I really doubt that this economy is going to make it to the end of the year. Not with them planning with FEMA coming around at Christmas time. And they're going to try to use the Civil War to cover up the economic collapse as an excuse. We'll see. But it would not surprise me. Not especially with the voter registration BS going on. Oh, one more thing. Everybody was talking about Turkey and Saudi Arabia and the murder of the journalists. I'm going to just put my quick 2 cents worth in this. Why? Let me see, how do I word this? It's interesting that the pastor was released from Turkey shortly after. America needs an excuse to take down Saudi Arabia. Iran and Venezuela. Turkey bowed down. Turkey bowed down by bringing the pastor, releasing the pastor. And if you look at that pastor, I am sorry, out of all the pastors in my life, that's no pastor. Keep your eyes open, stay vigilant. Things are going to get very rough. Have Jesus in your life. You cannot survive on bread alone, but on God's words alone you can. He will guide you. There are some of us who are prepping with extra food, knowing we're going to need to help those who are lost. And it's kind of hard to help those who are lost to get to focus on the Lord if they're too hungry. Then there are people who are warriors or fighters for Him. And then there's people who are just prayer warriors. None of the positions given to you is a small position. Remember this. You are all important. To Him, He died for you. Get to know Him. Hear His words. Understand His warnings and His signs of letting us know when exactly we need to flee and when all of it is just the beginning. I love you all, and I pray all of you have the discernment to go to God first and foremost. Stand in His name. Praise Jesus in everything you do. And He is right there with you. And I will see you on the other side. Shalom.